I'm Owen Casey Stevens, and this is the story of the time, that unusual circumstance where I performed nasally induced concussive plumbing maintenance. This story requires some background, and just bear with me, I'll try and keep it short. These may seem unrelated, but they all roll into this particular event. Anyone who spent a fair amount of time in the same building as me, not even necessarily the same room as me, eventually becomes aware that I can sneeze very loudly, very violently. And this isn't about how much nose blowing is occurring when I sneeze, is that my entire body gets into it. And there are, in fact, medical reasons behind this, which I'm not going to get into. But it's loud, it's sudden. When I did it in the Paizo offices, occasionally someone a cubicle or two over would scream. People who game with me for any length of time, by which I mean months or years, because that's how I'm used to thinking the amount of time I game with people, have occasionally been exposed to it. And of course, my wife is well aware that as soon as I go, it's time to run for cover. So that's one apparently unrelated fact. The other is that my wife and I have very particular tastes when it comes to shower heads. We want a removable shower head with a 4-foot long hose that has a switch on it so that you can switch from gentle spray to a mix of gentle spray and some concentration to strip paint. We really want to have a setting that is a super focused single split stone and half nozzle level of force on the hose. And we have found a very few nozzle hoses, shower hoses, that do exactly what we want in this regard. And we, generally speaking, buy 3 or 4 at a time because they're made of plastic and they eventually break. Most recently, we didn't have one break. It just started screaming. And I'm not kidding. It was fine on the gentle spray. And then if you set it to the moderate spray with a little bit of focus, it would sort of go. And then if you clicked it all the way to strip paint, it made a horrific noise kind of nonstop. Now, this was, on the one hand, funny. On the other hand, annoying. And when it made that noise, you wouldn't get the paint stripping. Too much of the water was leaking out in other places. So this is one of those things where, well, maybe there's been a hard water buildup or something has gotten lodged in the switch. It's clear plastic, so we could see it wasn't anything big, but something small could have gotten in there. Or this could just have lasted longer than these usually do, and it's worn out. And we kept meaning to take it out and put it in some hard water remover and get any buildup on it off, etc. But we weren't really worried about it because we had 2 more of these things in the closet ready to go. So one day I am showering, and I begin to feel a sneeze come on. Now, I try not to sneeze in the shower, basically because it's slippery in there. And like I say, my whole body gets into the reaction. But the paralysis was upon me. I couldn't get out, so I'm just, leaning against the wall, bracing my hand, making sure my feet aren't on slick spots. And I let loose with an incredibly loud sneeze. I'm not going to try and duplicate it here because I can't intentionally do it justice, and any effort I make would be both underwhelming and just kind of annoying and stupid. But I did jerk really hard during the sneeze, and I was holding the shower head. And it screamed once, and then went to its normal spray. Now, I had not switched it to the normal spray, so I thought I'd broken it permanently. But when I started switching it back and forth, it then worked normally and did not make any noise. Meanwhile, poor LJ, who's in another room, my wife, heard this horrific scream that was following a really, really loud sneeze. And she was afraid the noise was not a shower head, because why would you think that? But that it was me wrenching a limb out of socket or falling out of the shower or something. So she runs in and she says, oh, and what happened? And I'm looking at the now functional shower spray, and she's asked what happens, and I have to tell her, I sneezed so hard I fixed the shower. Let me tell you, this is not a sentence I ever expected to say, and certainly not to mean, but yeah, in this case, I sneezed so hard that whatever was wrong with the shower head, and it's been weeks now and it's working fine, is fixed. My wife had a moment of silence while she tried to take in this bizarre statement. I suspect largely because when I say something like that, it's usually the setup for some terrible pun, but in this case, I meant it. I had engaged in nasally induced concussive plumbing maintenance quite by accident. So she finally said, well, okay, then we won't try and fix it. And that was the end of that. And the thing's still working fine. And I guess next time it goes wrong, I can bring a pinch of pepper or something into the shower with me, maybe, or maybe we'll just switch it out next time. But that's it. It's an unusual story, but it's one I wanted to share with folks. Speaking of unusual things, and as the story touched on briefly, gaming with me, if you're one of the people that's interested in knowing what unusual things I design during gaming sessions, right at the moment, the 52 and 52 game program is going on in the Open Gaming Store. I'll put a link in the description of this video. It's a product a week, every week for 4 game systems, Pathfinder 1st Edition and 2nd Edition, and Starfinder and 5e. We're 5 weeks in, so we've released 5 of those products in 4 versions each. That's 20 total products. And if you buy in now, it's $49.99. You'll get all the back products and everything going forward for the full year. So please check it out. Appreciate your time. Hope everyone has a good time. And just as a general piece of advice, don't sneeze in the shower, even if the shower head is broken. It's not a good deal. It's this once, sure, but in general, don't do it.